And welcome everybody to this life purpose and create a life of meaning, enjoyment and well-being. So that's what our topic is all about today. I am so pleased to come to you live and to be able to share this content with you. It's been a while since I've done a live webinar, so it really is very pleasurable to come back in this particular way and have you show up here and have you be able to take part. I'm not particularly technologically savvy or social media savvy, so I do consider it a real celebration that I've been able to create an international coaching business, with very little understanding of how technology and social media really works. What I do have in my favor is a complete connection to my deepest purpose and my reason for showing up as I do. And I find that alongside being aligned with my passions is what has allowed me to grow my business very organically and to experience a life of meaning, enjoyment and well-being. So you're also welcome here. This is what I want for you too. And please take heart that you're in the right place. If you're not necessarily techno savvy, if you're not really clear on what makes you unique or how you're different or what your core purpose is, if you're at the stage in your life where maybe you're in your 40s, your 50s, entering your 60s, and it's becoming more and more important for you to do something that you love and to live your life in enjoyment and well-being, rather than merely existing, but rather being able to express yourself fully with what you've got and what the talents and gifts are within you. You're also in the right place today if you're done with the American hustle. I really take a stand, and what makes me different to everybody else out there as I see it is that I have really low tolerance for any sort of burning out, being in the hustle, making yourself basically ill in the pursuit of other people's passions and simply for financial gain. So you're definitely in the right place. If you've been living in that hustle, whether you're in a job or whether you're in an existing business, and you're asking yourself, as I once did, what's another way to live? This can't be just it. So I welcome you all here. Most of you know me by now. I'm Grace Kelly, founder of gracefulcoaching.net. And I successfully left my day job as a school teacher a number of years ago after realizing that wasn't my deeper purpose and my passion. And I created an international coaching business that saw me travel the world, hosting clients in gorgeous locations from Beverly Hills to Saint-Tropez to Sydney, London, Rome, different parts of LA. And I currently host my clients via Zoom and here on retreat in Puglia, Italy, where we do the coaching and we combine that with a culinary experience, an experience of the lifestyle, and a beautiful travel experience around the various parts of my region that I love to bring clients to. So it's really a pleasure to be here today to talk about you getting on purpose with what you would love to do. And I know for many of you, it's become really apparent and really clear, especially in the last week, that business isn't your purpose or your passion. And you might have realized that the career you're in right now isn't your passion either. And that's okay. That's what I'm here to really help you with today and to really support you with in terms of just aligning yourself with what is important to you. Because when we do that, ladies, I can promise you there is a sense of flow and connection that occurs that simply is symptomatic, I believe, of you being on purpose, of you being connected to what you're really here to do. So there's a couple of things to take care of as we get started here. The first thing is that if you're on social media, or you're on anything, you know, close those tabs. Let this be the moment that you receive what you need. I have women who come on my webinars and they tell me that they get the insight or the download that they were looking for, and that's it. The issue or whatever it was they were struggling with, even for months or years, is over. And you can't get that if you're distracted and you're looking at your email as well as Instagram as well as somewhere else while you're trying to listen to me. So I encourage you to close those things down. What I'm going to do today on this webinar is I'm going to share with you the 3 graceful steps that I see as helping you get really on purpose immediately, helping you go from merely existing to fully living. And I'm also going to share with you, you know, just practical tips around what to do with that. Many of you had tons of questions, everything from, you know, how do I know if I'm expert enough? You know, how do I know what my purpose is? You know, how do I get paid for my passions? I know what my passions are, but I don't know how to get paid. Okay, I heard your questions, and I can promise you what I share with you today will not only obliterate those questions, they'll answer them, but they'll also obliterate them. And you'll come back to experience or address next. Because those questions, as I heard them come in, were symptomatic of many of you living in a state of anxiety and jumping ahead and, oh my God, Grace, I kind of know what I want to do with my life, but I'm not there yet. Come back home. Let this webinar bring you back to center. And I will bring on a couple of special guests who will share their experience of deepening meaning in their life, finding direction, and particularly opening up to more enjoyment and more well-being. Because it's fine to hear from me, but it's nice to hear also from those that have experienced it through our coaching together, so that you know that it's possible, not just in me, but also in you and in others. And at the end of the call, I am sharing a special offer if you'd like to go deeper. So do stay on the line if you want to hear about that. It is the deal of the year. I mean, it's an incredible deal. If you've been thinking about working with me, if you hear something and you're thinking, I want to go a bit deeper on that, you'll want to hear about this particular offer. It's available. And there's a special offer for those of you live on the webinar. So stay with me. Okay, to get started, I love to begin after the housekeeping's over with a gentle meditation to bring you here to center. So join with me in closing your eyes. And I want you to really plant your feet on the ground so you're feeling those 2 feet on the floor. And see roots coming from those feet all the way down through the ground, the underground, right down to a rock at the bottom of the earth. And wrap those roots around that rock. See golden light and energy coming up from that rock, through the underground, up through the ground, up through the floor, in through your feet, up through your legs, to your kneecaps, to your thighs, all the way up through your torso, right up to the top of the head. Surrounded in this golden light. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And set your intention for this webinar. What is the insight, the clarity, the direction, the answer, the understanding that you require? Set your intention now. And give you a couple more minutes to come back into the experience, back into the room, back into the webinar. And I remind you that today we're exploring 3 graceful steps to get on purpose, and to create a life of deeper meaning, deeper enjoyment, deeper well-being. And so why that topic? Well, it seems to me that being on purpose, being deeply connected to your passions and bringing that into everything you do clears up a host of symptoms. I do see a direct relationship between being aligned with work and life in a way that you love and experiencing deep vitality. And I know in my life there have been times when I've been a little off the track, if you want to call it that, a little off purpose, if you want to call it that. And those were the times that my well-being took the biggest hit. Those were the times that my income, my vitality, not just my spiritual and physical well-being, but my financial well-being too. Those were the times that it took the greatest hit. So I've come to realize that really being in alignment with what you truly love is key. And I'll share with you a personal story you may not have heard from me before. You know, after I did leave the job and I got into coaching, and I had great success in my coaching business from an early start, you know, I got very aligned with what I wanted to do. Something happened to me that you might be familiar with, you might even be experiencing in your own business right now. But what happened for me was, as I gained success in what I was doing, more and more people started coming to me to ask me to help them have success in their business. Now, I found that fascinating, and I followed that breadcrumb, and I enjoyed it for a while. But very soon, I noticed that my vitality and my well-being was not where it had been. And I found myself really faced with a difficult decision. You know, here I had this successful multiple six-figure business. Here I had people coming to me wanting business advice. Here I had my own mentors priming me for a seven-figure business the following year. I had all of this external success and what looked like everything at my fingertips. And yet, my soul knew this isn't my purpose. Helping people with Facebook ads, helping people with you know, the nuts and bolts of setting up an online business was not my mojo. And I had to come back and reconnect with grace, with capital G grace, with the true purpose within me that I had heard a number of years prior to this experience. And teaching people business skills, no matter how lucrative it was becoming for me, was not my purpose. I didn't have a passion for business. I know many of you don't. It's fine, it's good. You can still make a fantastic living in something else. And I took the risk. I woke up one morning in a beautiful hotel room, and that was the day I was about to sign the documents that basically were setting me on the path to a seven-figure business. And my wisdom said, no, Grace. And I can remember it so distinctly. It was so hard, ladies. It was so hard, but I had to listen to that wisdom. And my vitality, my well-being was shot. That was another indicator for me. Grace, you're off track here. I know everybody wants you to go this way, but your soul and your purpose is this way. And it was so difficult, but I had to take myself off that merry-go-round, and I had to say goodbye to a lot of what was working for me, but a lot of what was not fulfilling me. And I know some of you in position too, where maybe you are, noticing that your well-being keeps getting hit, your vitality keeps going down, your enjoyment of what you're doing is fluctuating. Please listen to that. Your feeling is your friend. And I was so caught in the speed, the not realizing at the time, but the speed that I was going at was so fast and so normal to me. Living in the hustle was normal to me at that time, that I kind of ignored the symptoms. Another thing that I was doing, and I didn't know it, was I replaced my passions with my mentor's passions. And this is very common. Although we had some similarities, I kept innocently looking over there, looking at everybody else and looking at other successful people. And I kept injecting their passions. Oh, this is how I should do it. Oh, this is what they're doing. Oh, this is how you do it if you're going to be successful. And every time I was doing that, I was diminishing my own true purpose and power and alignment. And it was a real soul destroyer, because I noticed I just needed more and more and more in order to feel better and better and better. Bit like an alcoholic or a drug addict, you need more in order to get the same hit. And I see many people doing that innocently. They're looking on social media and they're like, oh, well, I'm not doing that. That's what you have to do in order to be successful, or in order. And the people you're looking at, ladies and gents, the reason that they might appear to be lit up and they might be on track and all the rest is they're likely following their true passions and deeper calling. I mean, that is the magic of being in alignment with what you love, right? And so somewhere on my journey, I kind of got diluted and started injecting other people's passions, especially those I was working with and people I was around. And soon enough, grace was lost, right? So roll on a bit, and I have to say, that was a tough decision, but wisdom spoke to me. Wisdom woke me up. Right that morning, I was due to sign the documents to this 7-figure business deal. And every part of my being said no. And, this is step number 1. You want your first graceful step to getting on purpose. You got to listen to that wisdom, ladies. It's in you. It's not missing. But if you're living your life at 190 miles an hour, if you're living in the American hustle, as I call it, if you're living at the speed of light, if you're living comparing yourself to everybody else, if you're living with a gun to your head about where you should be by now and you're not there yet, hearing that wisdom can be tricky, right? And it's that wisdom within you that has the easiest path to your life of meaning, your life of enjoyment, your life of well-being. It's that wisdom within you that knows how to get you to where you need to be without getting stuck in a whole load of, effort. And one thing that I know for sure about me is that I don't live like that anymore. In fact, my tolerance for effort and stress and striving is so much less than it was. And I see this to be true for everyone I work with. Let me put it this way. As you go up the elevator of consciousness all the way up, and you keep going up, and you start living at those higher floors of consciousness, when you drop, and if you drop back down, you naturally find that you can't hang out there the way you used to. Your ability to live in hustle and stress and striving and worry and insecurity and fear just gets less and less and less tolerable. This is a sign of well-being. If you're noticing that in yourself already, that, you just can't live like that, this is a sign of well-being. And so I had to take the brave decision to let go of that worldly success and get back into connection and reconnection with my true passions, my deeper purpose, grace with a capital G. And as many of you know, that took me on a beautiful journey, but it also meant that I had to start again. It felt like I had to start again. It felt like I had to start my business all over again. And you can imagine that so many people were like, what? Why did she give that up? I mean, that was working. What's she doing? But wisdom, when you really follow that inner calling, it has the correct steps, direction, people, resources. And I'm so glad that I followed that, because in realizing that business isn't my passion, I looked at what was my passion, and I discovered that that can grow a business. Connection, well-being, purpose, lifestyle, travel. That all the things that I already had that were true to me could grow the business anyway, and that this need to be passionate about selling or marketing or social media or whatever, that was just an idea that I made up. I had to be passionate about that in order to succeed. And so roll on a while, and I completely revitalized my business. In fact, we rebranded a year ago. I knew that that was necessary. I knew that part of my letting go of that external influence, that I'd have to rebrand. And so a year ago, we opened gracefulcoaching.net. I have a whole new client base. I have former clients that said, Grace, I still love what we do together. I want to keep going. Grace, take me in this new direction. I had people from the past come back to me and say, I see you're up to something else now. Well, can you help me with that? take heart that as you really connect with your truth, your purpose, your passions, people can't help but notice. And it's not that I don't help my clients today with, things like copy and marketing and, best sort of business strategy if they are the people that are wanting to be in that scenario. But very little of my coaching is focused on that. Whereas once so much of it was focused on it, and that was not what I signed up for. It happened to be what I was good at. But here, listen to this, ladies, graceful step number 2, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to follow it. Graceful step number 2 is about following your passions in your business or your career, your life. Following your true passions, because your passions are your unique identity. They're what make you different. They're what make you stand out. When you follow those passions and you allow yourself to only go in the direction of those passions when it comes to getting paid, when it comes to doing life, you'll find that comparison falls away, effort falls away, enjoyment comes in. And so being clear on what is true for you is important. And honoring what's true for you is important. Like one of my lovely clients yesterday, and she said to me, Grace, I realized business isn't my passion, but connection is. I love connecting with women. And I said to her, well, that's brilliant, because that's the big ingredient to a successful business. Nobody can run a business if they're not interested in people. Nobody can run a business if they don't like connecting with others. Nobody can run a business if they're hiding on their couch and they're spending all their time behind the computer and alone. So, even that simple shift in that client, I could see that she felt free. She didn't have to make business her passion, and she felt free that she could go in the direction of connection with others. And this is the beauty of really graceful step number 2, knowing your passions, knowing your deeper passions and allowing yourself to follow them. So many women I speak with feel guilty for how they spend their time, how they spend their money, how they spend their energy, how they show up. And what a waste of a life to be beating yourself up for the very things that you're motivated by. No one has to get you out of bed in the morning to follow your passions. No one has to remind you. No one has to give you external motivation to go along with your passions. And yet, how many of you are not letting yourself be in them? How many of you are not linking your passions with your income and letting yourself make more money to fulfill those passions and with those passions? It's very innocent, ladies. And how many of you are innocently comparing your unique DNA, identity, your passions, your purpose with somebody else's? These are the things that get in the way of you hearing your wisdom more fully, of you going in the direction of what's true for you.
Hi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
These are the things that just end up diluting you. And we don't want a diluted version of you. We want you. No one has to discipline me to close my computer at a certain time of day, go off for a walk with my dogs and show up for an aperitivo and a glass of wine and a dinner out somewhere. The difference is I don't judge that. And how many people are not enjoying life because they're in judgmental thinking about the activity they're doing, thinking they should be doing something else, thinking they should be somewhere else, thinking they can experience the thing they're passionate about only when they have got the money, completed the task, sorted such and such a thing out. That's habitual learned thinking. And anything you're not recognizing as thought will continue to trip you up. Judgmental thinking, insecure thinking, comparison thinking, it all leads to tension. And tension leads to stress. And stress will always leave you living in the hustle. We can't have enjoyment in life in the hustle. They don't go together. And yet your wisdom is always there, prompting you in the best direction. And how often do I speak with people who get the prompt and then do a U-turn on the prompt because the insecurity rises back up and they're paying more attention to the insecurity than they are to their own wisdom, and then they wonder why their lives aren't working out. They wonder why there's no meaning, less enjoyment, a lack of vitality on a day-to-day basis. It's so innocent, ladies. And you don't have to keep living in the insecurity. You have this thing, this inner GPS, this graceful step number 1 to getting on purpose, this wisdom within you that knows how to take care of you. It's the same energy that turns acorns into oak trees and embryos into babies without you or I doing anything about it. It's beating your heart right now. It's looking through your eyes at me on camera and through my eyes at you on camera. It's this consciousness within that's on your side. And I invite you to be more interested in that if you want to get on purpose and have more enjoyment in your life, and less interested in all the insecure, learned, habitual, judgmental, comparative thoughts that you have made friends with over the years. The difference between you and I right now is that I have seen beyond the insecure thoughts. And I am more interested and have become more familiar with my connection to wisdom than the compelling stories that noisy mind gives me. And I love to help my clients with the same. Because as you live from wisdom, you live in well-being, you live in the correct decisions, you live without a gun to your head, you live with more enjoyment. Your whole physical demeanor shines. It's like if we could bottle this up and sell it, nobody would have to have Botox fillers or liposuction, right? Whatever those things are that these beauty experts are saying you need. Being on purpose is the medicine. Being on purpose is the tonic. Living from wisdom and in your passions is the route to well-being. It's no big complicated secret. And I think now of a woman who texted me from her hospital bed. She told me I could share this. It kind of brings tears to my eyes. I think of her, Shirley Ann, and she messaged me about a week ago and she said, Grace, I've just watched your video on being on purpose. And I want to let you know I've just had surgery. I'm lying in the hospital bed. All that went through my head was I might die. What am I going to do about my son? What am I going to do about my husband? And she said, what have I done with my life? That was her big thing after the surgery and before the surgery. What have I done? What have I done? And she was in a feeling of shame, unfortunately, when she messaged at that particular time. And she said, I've had 17 pounds of fibroids removed from my body. And I finally got the message, Grace. It's time for me to get on purpose. It's time for me to follow my passions. That was so humbling to me, that she would recognize in herself that she had been dishonoring and avoiding what she uniquely was here to do. And she told me in the next message that she had prioritized everybody else in her life, that she had been in a fashion business previously and it had been very successful, but it wasn't her unique calling and she had to get out of it. And that she'd spent the remaining number of years knowing what she wanted to do next, but not letting herself, not following her wisdom. And the resentment grew, and the comparison grew, and the insecurity grew. And then she found herself hospitalized. But how beautiful, as I said to her in my message, how incredibly beautiful. She finally got the message. And she said to me, Grace, it's time for me now. It's time for me. This healing is going to take place and I am going to get on with what I am here to do. I'm not ignoring my wisdom anymore. Ladies, like in her example, I think we can all connect with what happens when we don't let ourselves. And one of the big obstacles I see for people is that they think that their purpose or their passions needs to look like somebody else's, needs to be this big shiny object, needs to be this incredible thing that comes from the heavens that makes them $5 million and a New York Times bestseller. I'm not saying that that might not be on your path. But if you're scaring yourself, if that thinking gives you tension, if that thinking scares you, stop it. Because one of the ways you can block yourself is to make a much bigger deal out of this than it actually needs to be. So again, graceful step number 1, follow that wisdom that's coming to you, ladies. If you're not doing what you love and you're in a job or you're in a business model that is not aligned and your vitality is down and you've been hearing that you need to let go, now's the time. Do not wait to be on a hospital bed. Do not wait to be burnt out to get the message. Do not wait to be, on the deathbed. I spoke to my priest not that long ago and he said to me, Grace, do you know one of the number 1 questions people ask when they're dying is, was I loved and did I matter? And that to me was like, whoa, did I matter? Because I interpret that question as, Did my life have meaning? Do not wait to be at that point, ladies. Now is the turning time. Now is your moment. Hear that wisdom and make friends with it and go in its direction. And forget about shame and beating yourself up and having regrets because you didn't follow it in the past. Done. New day, new time, new vibration, new moment, new direction. Graceful step number 2, as I shared already. Be in alignment with your true passions. Stop looking at everybody else. Switch off that social media if you need to. Stop comparing yourself to them. Be in alignment with your unique passions. When I walk people through my passion process as part of our coaching together, they get crystal clear on the top 4 passions in hierarchical order. Passion number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and they connect with their deep purpose. And when most of those people realize, oh, number 1's not what I thought it was going to be, they start to rearrange their lives and their judgmental thinking to reflect what's true. Because your number 1 passion is related to your deeper purpose. And the more you can connect with that passion and bring it into everything you do, the more you will live in vitality, success, goals will be easy for you to meet, opportunities will be easy for you to demonstrate. But as long as you're living in this conflict, which creates a lot of resistance in the body, a lot of inflammation, a lot of challenge, as long as you're living in this conflict of, well, I should be, I think it's there, I should be passionate over here. And people that are successful seem passionate about this. I'll look at this. What's she doing? What's she got that I've not got? As long as you're living in that noise, you are diluted. And we can't see you. We can't see your shining light. Remember, the world can't feel but notice when you're following your true passions and purpose. Graceful step number 3, and then I'll bring on a couple of guests. Graceful step number 3. Prioritize your well-being. You know, I don't mean have more massages and do self-care. I mean, get out of the hustle and let yourself live in the well-being that is your inheritance. You were born well. Look at little babies. They just live in the experience of the moment, the well-being of the moment. Children, great examples. They get moods, they go up and down in moods like we all do, but they don't hold on judging the mood, worrying about the mood, thinking about the mood. What does the mood mean? They don't give meaning to their moods. So they naturally bounce back to well-being. Well, guess what? It's in all of us. As we stop giving meaning to our insecure thinking, we come back to wellness. We're designed for well-being. We don't need to do stuff to get there, but sometimes it helps. We come back to well-being, to enjoyment of the moment. We fall out of the noise and into the now. And when we're in well-being, when we're living in well-being, life is graceful. Life is good. Hustle becomes less and less tolerable. Stress and striving and strain and sickness and all that jazz becomes less and less tolerable. Because when you live at the level you are really here for, and I'm not talking about a level of income, and I'm not talking about a level of success, I am talking about a level of well-being that precedes everything you're wanting to bring into your life, then you naturally send that vibration out into the world. And again, the world can't help but notice. People and opportunities are drawn to you. I call this a kind of spiritual marketing. You're doing it and you don't realize you're doing it because you're not doing it. You're living in it more of the time. So graceful step number 3, remember your inheritance, well-being. Another word for well-being is wealth. Remember that's your inheritance. It's who you are when you're not lost in insecure thought. It's who you are when you're not lost in the day-to-day drama of trying to get your bills paid or wondering if you should leave your job. It's not a goal you have to get to. Well, I'll do all this and then I'll have time for well-being. Well, I'll do all that and then I'll feel better. No, 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 no. You know, as I said to my clients through our coaching together, our real thing is to help the client go up the elevator of consciousness. Imagine it like the Empire State Building. If you're living on floor 2, all you can see is obstacles, lack of vitality, lack of success, lack of opportunity. It's a bit like floor 2 of the Empire State. You know, all you can see is other buildings. As you go up the elevator of consciousness, back up to your inheritance, your well-being, and you're up on floor 100 or whatever, you have a whole new psychological landscape. Now you can see Central Park. Now you can see the Chrysler Building. Now you can see the whole city. Well, it's the same with your state of mind. When you go up that level of consciousness, when you get up there, now you see possibility, now you feel well-being, now you have hopefulness, now you access wisdom. And I always say to my clients, that's really what I'm helping you do. Let's go up the elevator of consciousness and get right up there to the point that you are so connected and deeply aligned with yourself and your truth and your well-being and your wisdom and your passions and your purpose that you have a whole new psychological landscape. And that psychological landscape is enjoyment, meaning, vitality, well-being in all areas. So I'm going to bring on one of my lovely clients to talk about that a little bit, because you're hearing it from me right now. But to reiterate again, 3 graceful steps. Connect with wisdom to get on purpose. Stop ignoring it. Follow it. Let it lead you. Be aligned with your true passions and bring those into everything you do. Know their correct order and follow them. Stop comparing. Stop thinking your passion should look like someone else's. And live more in your well-being. Because that in itself is vitality and enjoyment and meaning. But it's also where you put an end to hustle and burnout and exhaustion and trying to figure out. And you live in this feeling that the world can't help but notice and be drawn to. Don't take it just from me. I'm going to bring on Stephanie first. Let's have a few minutes hearing Stephanie's experience. And stay on the line if you would like my help with really bringing this into tangible form in your own life. If you would like my help in embodying this experience that I'm sharing with you, I have an incredible offer that I'm about to reveal. But first, let's hear from Stephanie. So let me see if I can bring you on, Stephanie. I don't. Oh, there you are, Stephanie. Sorry, darling. Can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. So, Stephanie, you've heard me talk about what I see as a life of enjoyment and meaning and vitality. And the reason I ask you on is because when you contacted me, and I want all the women to hear this, when you contacted me originally, you know, I was kind of in my businessy head, like, well, Stephanie, you know, what sort of career are you wanting to get into? And Stephanie said to me, Grace, I'm not interested in another career. And I said to her, so why do you want to work with me? What are we doing together? And she said, I want to enjoy my life the way you do. Can you help me do that? So Stephanie, would you like, I know you got to reflect back a bit, but would you like to share with me or share with us, you know, what's been your experience of deepening your enjoyment and vitality so far in our coaching?
Okay. That is exactly why I wanted to work with you. I saw another webinar that you did, and it really, I knew right then and there was something about you that I wanted for myself. And it wasn't like I want to copy what she's doing. It was like she knows something that I don't know, and I want to know it for myself. I want to learn it. So that's why I contacted you. And I'm probably not your typical client. I don't have a business. It was more about just my life. I wanted to enjoy it more and to finally get to a different place, you know, with my own well-being. And
so
that's exactly what we've done.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about what did you notice started happening as we went along our coaching conversations together?
Well, you have a way of very gently guiding me. And as it progressed, I just noticed more and more opening up of my understanding of my own wisdom inside of me. So I know how to access it anytime I want. I know that it's always there, even when it might not look like it's there. Mm-hmm. And I know how to get to a place of just well-being. Mm-hmm. And I know what that feels like now. And like you said earlier, I'm really, really intolerant of being out of my own well-being. Mm-hmm. And that didn't used to be the case. I used to just dwell there and wallow in it and let it dictate my mood and let life and circumstances dictate how my day was going to go, what my life was going to be like. And that would stretch on for as long as those circumstances were in place until something would maybe turn it around, but it was another circumstance, a better circumstance. And so I was always on this seesaw of, okay, well, whatever happens just happens, and that's going to be my life. And that's really not the case. It's much more based out of internally rather than externally. And I've learned how to do that through you. So it's been extremely helpful. I didn't expect it to be so helpful in my relationships, but that's one of the main things that it's helped. Mm-hmm. I don't take things so personally anymore. Mm-hmm. Even when things are bumpy, and as you know, I get some stuff thrown at me every once in a while. Mm-hmm. But even in some of the worst of circumstances, I now know how to, I now know that it's just a circumstance and that it's not me. And I know how to navigate that now and to get back to well-being over and over and over again. Yeah. So it's been extremely helpful. I am so grateful that I connected with you and we've been on this path, and it's just the best thing that's happened to me in a long, long time.
And you were someone, Stephanie, who probably, like many of the listeners, you were someone who listened to a lot of podcasts, a lot of coaching, a lot of coaches. Do you want to share, like, tell us a bit about the shift there for you, because you were on that path. Yeah.
I really, really was. I've been receiving coaching for about 4 or 5 years now. And I was initially attracted to someone that I thought had it all together. Like, they presented a very pretty package. Someone that was living a lifestyle that I wasn't living currently. And I think all that's great, but that's what I was attracted to. But what I was mostly receiving were techniques. So I was heavily relying on techniques. And I learned through this process that those techniques don't necessarily work for everybody. They might work brilliantly for whoever is giving the idea or the techniques, but not necessarily for everyone. And so I was jumping around from technique to technique, and some of them were really, really complicated. And I was getting to a point where I'm like, I'm tired of this. I don't want to, what's wrong with me is what I was kind of thinking. Like, why can't I understand this and get this and just do what they say to do, and then my life is better? And I'll just learn through grace that her approach is completely different. She doesn't tell me how to think. She doesn't tell me what to do. But she gently is able to get me back to a place where I know what to do. My own wisdom is there for me at all times. And I have learned to trust myself more. I have a lot more confidence. I would have never come on a webinar like this publicly before. And I just don't think it's that big of a deal right now. So my confidence level is much, much higher. And I do not look outside of myself a lot for, confidence or someone to approve, or I just don't do that anymore. And it's just been a smooth transition working with her too. It's easy and smooth, and it doesn't have to be difficult, and it has not been difficult at all.
Beautiful.
But it's given me the most results. Let me just say that.
Awesome, Stephanie. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, and really well done to show up like this. Yeah, I didn't even take into account, because I just see you as confident and yourself. And I thought, yeah, Stephanie will have no problem coming on the webinar. So there you go. I really appreciate that. And I know that the ladies that are listening will have heard something for themselves too. So thanks for your share, Stephanie. I'm going to mute your line.
You're welcome. Okay.
So ladies, sometimes it can be difficult for me to put into words exactly what we can do together, but let me focus a little on the results here. If you're looking for deeper confidence in yourself, if you're looking for a life of meaning, well-being, more enjoyment, if you're looking to trust yourself more and to stop falling for the insecure thoughts and comparisons that get you off your game and throw you all over the place and have you living in tension and stress and hustle, then that is why you would work with me. This is one of the areas that I just really love to help you in, aside from the fact that I can help you with leaving your job, starting something new, or developing in the current business, or the ideas around the passions that you do have. That's just one slim slice of the pie. The bigger piece here is that I do see over and over again in my coaching with clients that people really walk away with a deeper self-trust, a deeper self-appreciation, a deeper connection to their own wisdom. And I do believe that coaching should render you connected to yourself, not dependent on the coach to tell you what to do. So if this interests you, if there's something that you hear that yes, I want Grace's help on that, I want to be supported, then give me a moment to share with you very briefly this special opportunity before I bring on Mia. So this special opportunity I actually had it for 10 women, but I sent it out to my current client base, and 5 of the spaces are already gone. So I only have 5 spaces left, okay? They had to hear about it first because it's only fair, but I'm opening it up to you all here now. I have 5 spaces for individual coaching with me. And what you get is 10 sessions. You get a total of 10 sessions, which you can use throughout 2020 if you prefer, or you can use them consecutively if that's more up your street. You get to choose how you use these 10 sessions. But ultimately, as you've heard today, these sessions are about enabling you to create a life of meaning, deep enjoyment, greater well-being, connection to yourself, your wisdom, trusting yourself, and really helping you fall out of the comparative, insecure, judgmental thinking. That is not about changing your mindset. As Stephanie shared, my approach is very different, very subtle, yet pierces through that part of you that you have been compelled by for however many years you've been here. And so I'm here to help you free that up and to get freedom of mind around whatever subject you've been feeling held down in. So maybe that is, doing better in a current business. Maybe that is getting out of a job. Maybe that is transforming a relationship. Maybe that is, simply enjoying your life more. Like Stephanie said, she just wanted to coach with me to get more enjoyment of her life. It doesn't really matter what your objective is. I'm here to support you in living more gracefully, free of hustle, free of insecurity, free of, comparisons, and allowing yourself to therefore get on purpose with a life of more meaning, confidence, vitality, well-being, and enjoyment. So across those 10 sessions, ladies, you and I will coach together on Zoom, like right here, like right now, one-to-one. Sessions are an hour long, and 10 sessions would usually cost £3,000. And the very special offer I have for you today is that you get that at 50% off. So you will be getting 10 sessions for £1,500, which is the deal of the year. And on top of that, live on this webinar, and if you're booking now, you will also get the passion process thrown in. So I have the passion process to give you as well. And that is my unique process for walking you through your unique passions, getting them in hierarchical order, and connecting you with your deeper purpose, and then developing a roadmap to, if you want to, get paid for those passions, or a roadmap to whatever it is you want to do with those passions and that purpose. That alone is at a value of £597. And many of you on the call here have experienced the passion process with me. But if you haven't experienced it, that's the awesome bonus for you for booking and going ahead with this, this offer that I have for you now. Some of you might be wondering, is there a payment plan? It's such a good offer that, it's 50% off. So a payment plan isn't really on the cards. But if you have worked with me before, I'm happy to consider that. If you've been on my webinars, if you've been showing up in the group, I'm happy to consider that. A payment plan would be a little more expensive. So we could look at something like 2 payments of £850 each. The pound and the dollar is very close, ladies. This is incredible value. So I'm not entirely sure what it is in dollars. You can go have a look. But if you want to avail of this, I have 5 spots. The offer is open for 7 days. I reckon it's going to be closed by Monday. So Monday, the 18th of November. If you're keen to get this, if you'd love to do this with me, let me know. And if you'd love to do this, but you've already done the passion process, we'll get you a different bonus. If you'd love to do this, but you did the passion process a long time ago, let's redo it. Let's get a fresh perspective. Let's reconnect. Either way, you're getting the extra bonus. So let me know if you'd love this for yourself, ladies. You can simply email me on gracefulcoaching@gmail.com, or you can private message me on Facebook and just tell me I'm in, and we'll take it from there. And before we finish here then, I'd like to bring on Mia, because Mia was someone who was going down the rabbit hole of trying to build a business, thinking she wanted a business, following all the how-to courses on getting a business. And when we worked together, Mia saw something new that has literally freed her up. So I want Mia to come on here and share her experience live from Austin, Texas, I believe. Live from Austin, Texas. So Mia's going to come on and share her experience of coaching together. And Mia, you also did the passion process, so that's cool too.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Great to see you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Fabulous. So Mia, would you share a little bit of your experience? Oh, and I've just got some email messengers coming in saying I'm in. Okay, cool, great. Okay, so 2 spaces are now gone. We have 3 spaces left, ladies. 3 spaces on that offer, just so you know. Okay, sorry, Mia, go ahead, my darling. So tell us what your experience has been. What was your journey? What sort of momentum were you on that then kind of brought us together?
Wow, well, in thinking about the 3 graceful rules, I was butchering them all. So that's the road that I was on. I had been a professional student, and I say that meaning I was taking every course, I was listening to every guru, every business marketer, social media person. I thought that what was my well-being was really having a business, making money, living this luxurious life. That's the vision I had in my head. And that having the business is what was going to catapult me into having that. So for years, I spent so much. I mean, I've probably spent close to $20,000 on courses and self-development and listening to podcasts and affirmations. I mean, just every book, Amazon has gotten quite a bit of money from me too. And just buying expert books and, thinking that the next thing that I was going to get, the next course was the it factor. It was the thing that was going to really do it for me. And to say the least, it was exhausting because what I found was that halfway through, I didn't want it anymore. I didn't feel passion towards it. I didn't feel like it was my calling. And so this was just a cycle that went on for years of taking courses, thinking it was the thing that was going to get me to the money. And what I realized with working with you, Grace, is that it was never about the money. It was really about the well-being. It was really about having a life that was fulfilling. And I was innocently so looking at business as the way to get there, as well as once I had the business, once I had the money and the success, then I could start living the fulfilling life that I felt that I was after. So that's the road that I was on. And it's so interesting to me, having worked with you now, that I had my blinders on and I was just going through it every single year, different courses, different, just different everything, trying to find that one thing that was going to liberate me into this space of fulfillment.
Yeah. And so many can relate, I'm sure. I think we all, Mia, have at some point gone down the rabbit hole of, let's just take this magic pill and see, and then I'll be happy. So what would you say you realized particularly in going through the passion process, like what did you realize that you hadn't realized about yourself in getting clear on those passions and your purpose?
Man, well, first I have to say, if any ladies are on the fence about doing the passion process and working with you, I would say just, just hop on off the fence, because it was the one thing that I could say that in going through that process, I could feel the wisdom. And by that, I mean, there was just this sense of relief that I felt in doing the process. And when we had an exercise that we did and it was on paper, I can remember, Grace, I don't know if you remember, I actually started tearing up because I felt like for the first time I was really seeing what my purpose was. Yeah. And it felt true. And I felt the relief and I felt the joy and I felt the excitement of it in a way that I had never felt before. And it's almost like how you know something's true about yourself, but it was a great reminder. It was like, wow, I had all this junk, this noise on top of this truth. And I felt like this process just literally just melted all of that noise away. Yeah. And so when I was presented with those passions and I actually saw it and I knew it to be true, it switched the gears in my head so deeply. I mean, within that same day, I felt it. And all the things I had been running towards, hustling, I'm in America, so the hustle and grind is, real. All of that melted away. The constant, gears turning about how am I going to make a business? How is this going to work? Crunching the numbers, doing templates, all of that fell away. The insecurities about who I was fell away. And I could see more deeply and actually accept more deeply what it was that I was truly passionate about in life. And the actions and steps that I was taking before, it just didn't fit in my life anymore. And it was easy to let go of that and to start embracing those passions and actually feeling excited. And it didn't feel like any sort of effort, like this is something I had to work towards. It was just naturally who I was.
Yeah, beautiful, Mia. So, if you're open to sharing, but you had to do a kind of a turnaround because you were going down this path of like building this business that are you open to sharing a bit about, what happened next and realizing that, you weren't actually passionate about business?
Yeah, which was such an interesting thing because as I shared with Grace before, ladies, I had been wanting to build a business since I was 8 years old. Like I was the nerdy kid reading Entrepreneur Magazine, and National Geographic and all of that because I had this idea that this was what would quote unquote free me. And once that fell away, there was such a relief. Like I felt all this space open up for me, and what started to happen is interesting opportunities started to flood in. I started to date, which is something that I put off before. I wanted to have the business. I wanted to have it all together before I looked at that part of my life. And I realized that part of my life, love being one of my biggest passions, and one of my biggest purposes, I was putting it off looking at career and money. And so once I kind of turned the dial towards love and community and relationships and family, people started coming into my life, opportunities to connect more deeply with family, friends, and even just new people. Dating possibilities started to flood in. And interestingly so, money started to flood in too, which was really unexpected, but a very nice surprise. I definitely wasn't expecting that at all, but it was just like once I turned away, it would just easily came. And something that Grace shared with me is just that, you know, I was just looking down this little narrow window of possibility for me. And once I had my purpose and my process and all of that figured out, or I should say, once wisdom showed that to me, it's like I let go of all the resistance that I myself was responsible for and holding myself captive in. You know, as Grace says, putting the gun to the head. I had multiple guns. And once I put those things, once I put them down, it's just like so much love, so much fulfillment, like just filled my life to where I know I'm no longer in stress. I turned myself away from, I have to build the business, to I really want to connect with people. And even saying that just kind of fills me with, you know, just a sense of joy, because it's the truth of what I'm really after. Is I want to connect with people. I want to have loving relationships with people. That to me is a deep calling for me. And yeah, so my life feels a lot more free and loving than it did before. And I mean, I am so deeply grateful that I went through that process with you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing, Mia. Just lovely to have you on here. And, you know, ladies, those of you that are listening, it's not unique to us. You know, I want to share that more just to finish here. It's like, this is really who you are at your core when you are living in that experience of well-being, alignment with your passions, and coming more from wisdom, rather than living with multiple guns to your head, worrying about X, Y, and Z, and living your life in an experience of hustle and insecurity. So it's really lovely to just bring on those examples, and you know, both Stephanie and Mia, you know, are a reflection of what's available as you go more in the direction of enjoyment of life, purposeful living, and following your passions. So I would love to help you with that. If you want to go deeper, and every ounce in you is saying, yes, I want that, you know, do get in touch. We have 3 spaces left. I haven't checked my email just yet, but we have 3 opportunities left for you to get that incredible offer. Remember, it's 10 sessions. You can add them to an additional package, or you can use them as a new package. 2020 is around the corner, a new decade, a whole new, fresh, beautiful experience of life and you. And so if I can be a part of that experience as you go along, I'm here to help you. I'd love to. So get in touch and let me know if you'd love to take that. And remember the special bonus offer of the passion process, or another bonus if you'd rather. We can get you something that is appropriate to where you're at and what you need. Is available for booking within the next 7 days. So figure it out, ladies. £1,500, just under $2,000, a payment plan of 50% now and 50% later, if that's better for you, and if I agree that with you. And that's my invite. Contact me on gracefulcoaching@gmail.com. I hope you have enjoyed this webinar. I know that you can take those 3 graceful steps and bring them into your life immediately today. And I look forward to hanging out with you more in the Facebook group. And if you're already working with me as a client, great. Can't wait to see you for our next call. And in the meantime, have a really beautiful day. Thank you for showing up here, ladies. Lots of love, and to your purpose. Ciao.